Hello, friends. Thank you for joining my podcast and YouTube channel. And as a reminder, please like and subscribe and comment on the videos that I'm making for everyone to see and kind of understand what's going on. And as I promised, I will be using my personal experience to show you how Congress, the government has America last on their agenda and not first. These are things that the American people may not know about that happened during my time in service, the 22 and a half years that I was in the Army, California Army National Guard / United States Army. So in general, I want to talk about the National Guard, and that goes for the majority of the states. It's an organization that's extremely underfunded and mistreated by, the Department of War or Department of Defense, whatever they want to call it today, and the United States Congress, even though the National Guard exists because there is a mandate in the United States Constitution about the state's militia. And the National Guard is the state's militia pretty much, and its existence is a constitutional requirement, yet it is treated uh, as the least important thing that we have in this country and in the different states. So I talked in the previous videos about the treatment of National Guard members, about the pay problems, about all that. Today, I'm going to talk about the readiness of the National Guard and what I discovered later. So at the time, I wasn't aware of what was going on or why, but today I have a better understanding because of current events and what I've been seeing on the news. So I'm not giving you theories, or these are actual things that happened while I was in the military. So I want to use a simple example about the readiness. Most of you probably don't know what the rifle named M4 is. The rifle M4 is pretty much, it's like the AR-15. The civilian term for it is AR-15. So the M4 replaced the M16 in the United States military. It replaced it a long time ago, probably 2001, 2002. They started distributing M4s to the services. Now, 2003, I was deployed with my unit, in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. At the time, the weapons that were available to us were M16s. We didn't get the M4 as the Army should have had enough M4s for all its troops, not to mention some of the mismatched uniforms between upper half of desert, the lower half of the green, what we used to call BDUs, battle dress uniform. They were green, the camouflaged green uniform, and the desert boots, the flag vests that didn't have any ceramic plates in them when we first went there. So all that, at the time, I didn't really care. I mean, we went to serve this country, protect it. That's what we were told. We were going there to protect the United States and do all that great work, and we happily went, even though we were not completely fully equipped, properly equipped and resourced to go fight that war. Now, That M4 is a great rifle. It's smaller than the M16. It's more modern, and it's easier to carry and handle as opposed to the long, very long M16. So I went on my deployment and came back and didn't really pay much attention to that. So I came back in 2004, a few years to, forward. And in 2007, I think, I was watching the news and I see Hamas, who's a terrorist organization, basically classified as a terrorist organization in Gaza, overthrew the Palestinian Authority government that was in Gaza at the time, basically, and stripped them down to their underwear, the officials, and then they were parading them in the streets of Gaza. And guess what the members of Hamas, some of them were carrying for their rifles, and their uniforms and everything. They had M4. I wonder how they got M4s and where did they get it from? I'll let you do the research on that and find out who provided them with M4s and how they obtained M4s. That soldiers in the United States Army didn't even have that weapon, didn't have access to that weapon. We were still using M16s in my armory in San Bruno, California, in my unit. So that right there tells me how can you equip a foreign military with the state-of-the-art equipment. You give them all the funding they need, all the uniforms they need, to where also a terrorist organization has some of those assets and they put them on display with no problem. But back here in America, and the American soldier that deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq doesn't have the state-of-the-art equipment that the United States has. It's not distributed to its own soldiers. So a few years later, 2015, I retire. And guess what? I retired from the Army without firing the M4 not even one time, or actually holding the M4 one time. So the only time I held an M4 was the weapon known as AR-15 at a gun store in California. And that was my first time, my first encounter, close encounter with that weapon. What does that tell you about this government and its priorities? So when I tell you that Congress, is no America first, the government is no America first, I'm not making up stories or telling you theories or, hey, watch this or watch that. I'm telling you what happened in my military career and the things that I saw. And I want to ask you, America, is that acceptable to you? Is that acceptable that your troops deploy to a war zone with less capable weapons, with no protection, and hardly any resources? I know there was a big scandal at the time, and Secretary Rumsfeld at the time said, well, you go to war with the army you have, not the army you want. Well, how come we don't have the army we want, but we can fund other countries to have the army they want, to the point where they overflow from their supplies, makes it to a terrorist organization. So you can watch that video on YouTube, or I'm sure it's available, how Hamas paraded the Palestinian Authority members in their underwear in the streets of Gaza, and you can see how many M4s Hamas members were carrying. They did not make that up. That is such a great failure, of the United States government to take care of their number one priority. Should be the United States, should be the service members of the United States that are already suffering from the lack of services and support, right? When they come back, but on the front end, when they deploy, they still don't get the state of the art equipment. I don't even know how members of Congress, they have no shame by giving foreign countries money, equipping them with state of the art American weapons, and not worry about the National Guard. The National Guard that exists in every state because it's a constitutional mandate. The National Guard that exists in every state to defend the American citizen locally, not just from crime or war, but from natural disasters. They are essential to the communities that they serve. They are from the communities they serve, for the communities they serve, and yet they are the least funded and equipped uh, organizations in this country. Why is that acceptable? Why Americans are okay with that is beyond me. And again, I'm going to tell you that's why it's important who you vote for Congress specifically, because they come up with the budget and they appropriate the money. They tell the executive branch how to spend the money. The executive branch doesn't have uh, total control over how they spend the budget, the federal budget. So the same goes for the states, by the way. The governor doesn't have carte blanche on what to, an open check on what to spend money. No, the money is already marked for specific things. So why is the National Guard not equipped? Why does the National Guard have to take second-hand equipment from the active military? Why can't they get brand new equipment just like we give the full-time military? You give them the same kind of equipment, level equipment. Why is that not happening is beyond me. And then I'm going to talk about something else that's personal to show you. So, they want the National Guard members, in my case, to go deploy, meet whatever the standards that they have in place, fitness and all that stuff. And, in the military, when you need to get promoted to the next rank, you have to go to a school. They teach you how to fulfill that next rank, and it's obligation. So when I made it to major, basically the next step would be lieutenant colonel. So I would have to go to a school and pass that school so I can be qualified to be promoted to a lieutenant colonel. Did you know? I want the American people to know that. Did you know that if you're in the National Guard, okay, they send you to a part-time school? They won't allow you, unless it's a huge exception, and then they allow you to go to the active duty one. Okay, so why should I wait another year or 2 years to go complete a school that can be completed on the active duty side, for example, maybe in 3 months, 6 months? Why do the National Guard members have to wait? Why do they have to go to these schools and then get accused of being substandard? Why can't they go to the same school? They have the same responsibility. Why can't they get the same benefit? The same goes airborne school, air assault school, any of these schools that are available to active duty members. Why can't they be available equally to National Guard members? I don't understand. Why is it okay to treat National Guard members and units that way? Who's the substandard now? Is it the National Guard unit that's substandard? Or this government and this Congress is the substandard? Who's providing substandard benefits and education to National Guard? Is it the National Guard or the substandard government that we have that they don't really care. They care about foreign governments, foreign militaries, more than they care about you, the American citizen, and the members of the National Guard that exist to support you locally. Earthquakes, floods, fires, riots, you name it. They're always there locally for you. And they get mistreated and they are underfunded and nothing's being done about it. Nothing's being done about it because Congress and the government, they're busy with foreign countries. They're upset over, this and that, things that happen overseas, but they're not upset. They're not upset that the National Guard is being mistreated in this country. It's underfunded, okay? It's not treated equally, benefits wise, and that's on every level. On every level, not in benefits, as far as medical or pay or any of that, and certainly not when it comes to retirement, because a full-time person in the military can retire after 20 years, but National Guard, well, guess what? You have to wait until you're 62. And you know what's sad? Not everybody makes it to 62 to enjoy that retirement. They all die early. Okay? So look at who you're voting for, please. Vote for decent people. Vote for people that care about this country and its people. This is a true story and no one can deny it. It's 100% true. It happened and it continues to happen. I guarantee you. I've been retired since 2015. If I go visit a National Guard unit, they will tell me the same story. Funding, no schools available, all these things. So why are you holding National Guard members back from being promoted and advancement and all that? So how sick is that? How sick is that? Look at those people. Next time they come and give you a speech about all the things they've done and they're going to do for you, ask them about that. Ask them about that because that is a fact. It's not a conspiracy. That is a fact. Ask them about it. Okay? In the end, thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe and like, and I'd love to see your comments on there. Thank you so much. Bye bye.